to kind of help with feedback. Your camera can be on or off. It's totally up to you. And if there's anything that you kind of need my attention for, please feel free to, you just need to stick your camera on and wave frantically so I can put my headphones in because they're connected to my microphone. Happy Wednesday. Can you believe it's the last Wednesday of July? And here we are. So it's been like half of the year of doing Pilates every Wednesday. And I think that's a pretty big milestone. So cheers to us for making it this far and doing Pilates every week. Let's start on hands and knees, or not hands and knees, sorry. Let's just start kneeling up or standing, whatever feels good for you. And you're just going to inhale to reach up and then exhale, bring it down. Inhale to reach it up and exhale down. I'm in the middle of doing an anatomy course right now that's focusing on shoulder girdle anatomy and rehabilitation. And we've been talking a lot about how important it is to add a shoulder shrug into your life. So as your arms reach up, don't be afraid to allow the shoulders to come up with you. And then down. One more time. Inhale them up. Let's keep the right arm up. Let's bring the left arm down and just take a nice side bend over. So as always with class together, it is a blueprint. I'm going to do my best to make sure you have lots and lots of options. Bring yourself all the way up and then let's go the other way. But that being said, it's your body, your practice, your choice. So if there's anything that I haven't gotten to quick enough that you know is a great modification, please feel free to take it. One more time, inhale those arms up and then shake them as they bring themselves down. We're going to start standing. So if you haven't made your way to standing, and I think you can see most of me, at least if you can see my legs, that's what we want to find here. We're going to step our left foot forward. We're going to step our right leg back. So finding a little bit of a lunge right out of the gate, doing a little bit of leg work up here. And then we'll add some arms and shoulders to this too. So just sort of checking in with home base here. You're going to bend down through both of your knees. Now my job is to be your cheerleader and be like, we can get lower. But if that's not true, then don't do it. Yeah. What I want us to check in here first is just to make sure that that back right hip isn't dropping down. We're picking that right hip up so it's level with the left, requires glutes, requires abs here. Once you feel that stability, start to straighten those legs up, keeping that pelvis really nice and level. We're going to bend it back down, making sure that right hip doesn't drop, firing through glutes and quads to lift it up. Inhaling to drop down, and then exhaling it up. So just a few here. Take your time. It doesn't have to be slow, fast. It can be nice and slow. And your stance here does not have to be wide. You may feel most stable with your legs a little bit more narrow, and that's completely fine. Because what I just want you to start to feel is that as we bend down, we're hugging those legs towards each other, and we're being super duper mindful of that right hip. Yes? Standing up tall. Finding where you want to breathe. And so this kind of work is my response to like a stretch through your hip flexors, because I just don't really believe in stretching. I believe in mobility and opening. Up nice and tall. Let's go for 2, which means we got a little sweaty and out of breath as we do it. One more time. Now you're going to go as low as feels good for you. Yeah. So again, you can pick where you want your stance to be. Can we hold it here? Can we keep those hips nice and level? We're going to reach those arms forward. We're going to turn our hands into fists and we're going to squeeze our arms. Literally see those muscles. I'm going to move for a second so that I can talk you through this, but you're going to stay right as you are because you're nice, strong Pilates people. Because we've been doing it for half a year now, right? Woohoo! Okay. So right hip is level. We're squeezing into those arms. You're going to take your arms and your shoulders forward. You're protracting here. And then shoulder blades go on your back. Squeeze them into that retraction. Arms come forward. Making sure those arm muscles are still squeezing and then squeeze it back. Keep going here. So if you're like me and you're feeling like your quads are dying already, you can always take a break and then come back down. If you feel like you want to omit the leg work completely, if it doesn't feel great on your legs, if it doesn't feel great on your back or your toes, you can always come down to kneeling and do it up from a one kneeling sort of a place, because then you're still feeling all that leg work. Or kneeling on 2 knees, yes? If you're holding yourself in this lovely quad lunge, just like super, super enjoying all the heat and fire that I'm hoping is building for you here. Now our goal with those hips, keep going with those arms, is to keep the right hip nice and parallel, yes? So just be careful the pelvis isn't tipping forward. We want to be straight up, squeeze. Let's go for 2 here. One more time. Squeeze the shoulder blades on your back. Pause halfway with those arms. Squeezing through those arms, you're going to lift your legs up 1 inch. You're going to lower down 1 inch. Up just a little inch. Lower down a little inch. Up 1 inch. Down 1 inch. Keep squeezing those arms. For 2. Down 1 inch. One more time. Down 1 inch. Push up, stand up tall. Shake your legs. The fun thing about doing Pilates together is that I get to burn too and out of breath too. Give your legs a little shakety shake. And then we're going to go the other way. So your right foot is going to go forward, left leg is going to go back. And as you move here, you might start to feel like you want to change up your spacing. Please feel free to do that. Starting with your hands on your hips, take that little bend down. So pausing with that bend, we want to make sure that that left hip is not dropping down. We want to keep that left hip nice and parallel. Again, that requires some low abs. That definitely requires left bum cheek. Taking a nice slow moment here to start to straighten up through those legs. Taking your bend to come down. And then straighten up through those legs. Now, if you periodically hear little bangs while we're doing this, I'm right next to the wall for stability. Because I set myself up there on purpose, knowing we were going to be doing this today. Bending it down. So know that I'm using support too. Take a little check-in with yourself as you stretch the leg. If your pelvis starts to tip forward, maybe you don't fully stretch that leg. Maybe you feel like you need your legs a little closer together, or maybe you feel like you need them further away. Remembering I'm going to cheerlead you and say to get as low in those legs as you can, and then zipping up tall. But you know your body better than I do, yeah? Let's go for 2. Here we go with the Spice-A-Rama. Last one, we're going to bend, we're going to hold. Take those arms forward again. Now make sure we're not sitting in our joints. We're hugging those legs together. That back hip is lifted. Arms are reaching forward, squeezing the arm muscles so they're nice and toned. Those shoulders are going to squeeze up towards your earlobes, and then they're going to slide down your back. Squeeze them up towards your earlobes. Slide them down your back. Squeeze them up. Keep going wherever you are. Now, if finding that lunge up hovered is just not working for you, you can always bring your back knee down and work it from here, sliding up, sliding down, or you can have 2 knees again, sliding up, sliding down. Now, instead of feeling like your shoulder is being picked up from the top of your scapula, can you feel like it's being lifted from below the shoulder blade, as if my hands were underneath your shoulder blades, and that's how there's an elevation happening here. Super, super good to work the full range of motion through our shoulder girdle muscles. Is your back leg on fire? My back leg is on fire. Let's do it here, friends. Let's go for 2. Squeeze it down. Lift it up. Squeeze it down. Pause halfway. We're coming up an inch with those legs. We're going down an inch with those legs. Up an inch with those legs. Down an inch with those legs. 3 more. Up an inch. Down an inch. For 2. Whew, quads on fire. 1 more time. Down an inch. Step it forward. Give your legs a little shake. We're already hot. I'm going to grab my water. I left it over here because definitely going to need a sip of that.
Dom, what are you on today? This is crazy.
Okay, super not done. Let's step forward again with your left foot. Right leg is going to go back in space. Squaring off through those hips. So starting to cultivate that Pilates breath, right? It's helping us moving in space even though we're not on our backs. Taking our inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth, collect your pelvic floor. Rib cage is sliding down, legs are nice and taut. Arms are maybe starting forward right out of the gate for you here. Inhaling to lower down into whatever version of kneeling works for you. Exhaling to stand up nice and tall. So as we bend, we're trying to drop our pelvis down without losing our hips, yes? Lowering and lifting. So we're still working on pelvic stability. And because we're working on pelvic stability, you might notice you feel a bit of an opening through the front of that back thigh, yes? Lowering down, lifting it up. We're going for 4. Can you hear how I'm already out of breath? Let's go for 3. So know that I'm feeling all these things too. Let's go for 2. Here we go. Last one, bending it down. Pause in your bend. Now you could be bent with your knee off of the floor, bent with your knee on the floor, bent with 2 knees, yes? Figuring out where's going to work best for you. We're going to take those arms, they're squeezing nice and tight. We're going to reach them forward. Okay, full disclosure, I'm going to put my knee on the floor because I'm never going to be able to talk us through this otherwise. Reach your arms forward. Circle shoulders up towards your ears. Taking the circle down and around back and then down towards the floor. Circle them around and forward. Up towards your ear. Now the whole movement is happening from my scapula. Yes, even if my arms weren't a part of this, it would be a lot harder, but my shoulders are still moving. So the work is happening from behind you, and you just happen to see the effects through those arms. Remember, you could be holding up through that knee hover, forward, and up and back. 2 more, down to the floor. Reach it forward. Shoulders lift up. Down and around back. 1 more time, circle to the floor. Arms are toned, reach them forward. Lift them up to the ceiling. Squeeze them back behind you, down to the floor, and then you're gonna take those arms and reach them up. Can we feel like we're trying to collect the whole rib cage? So we're not shoving our shoulder blades down our backs. We're like really lifting up, like you're trying to pull your ribs off of your belly, of your spine. We're gonna pulse those legs down for 10, 9, strong arms, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step it forward. Woo, give it a wiggle. Maybe give it a little zhuzh. Heart rate is up a little bit. Yes, let's go to the other side without taking too much of a break. It's where we keep the stamina going. Right leg is forward, left leg is back this time. Maybe start with your hands on your hips, starting with those lifting and lowering, or maybe right out of the gate, you're happy with the arms forward. Yes? Nice and slow to find our little nuances. So if you were to just sort of like drop down and then pull up, that's quite a lot of load in your back knee. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to just dump load into one knee joint. So to sort of support this movement, we're thinking about those legs hugging in towards each other. That back left bum cheek never takes a break ever. It's always trying to lift up. We're thinking about that back heel radiating backwards even as we bend. Yeah, not rolling way up onto our toes. Up nice and tall. We're going for 3. If your arms are out there toned, they're nice and strong here, team. We're going for 2. Are you sweating? I'm sweating. Last 1. Now find your knee hover, making sure that, again, that left hip doesn't sink back. The left hip is lifted up. I'm going to come right down to the floor because that's where I need to be today to do this. We're going to reverse engineer our circles. So we're going up towards our ears, forward in space, down towards the floor, scooping back behind us, snuggling your spine, and then lifting those shoulders up, reaching them forward, scooping them down and back towards your spine. Lift it up, around and forward, yes? Scooping back and down, back to snuggle your spine. Now you could be kneeling like I am. You could have 2 knees on the floor if you'd like to. You could be up in that knee hover, right? Just sort of depending on the spice-orama of what your body is feeling. Remembering that even if I didn't have arms, the movement is happening from behind us. So good for your shoulder, your neck health, your hip health as well. Plus, if you've been getting migraines, I know I've been getting lots of headaches recently, helps with that too. 1 more time, around and forward, down and back, through the spine. Keep the shoulders elevated. Lift those arms up as if you're trying to lift your ribcage off of your spine, off of your diaphragm. We pulse the legs down for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. It's spicy. 4. It's supposed to be 3. I feel it. 2. Last 1. Give the legs a little shake. Grab a little bit of water if you would like. Woo! Okay. Staying standing. Let's take our legs really nice and wide. They're turned out this time, yes? Toes are pointing forward if you had like an imaginary clock. Left toes are to about 10 o'clock. Right toes are to about 2 o'clock. And then we're going to bend down. So we're sort of in a bit of a squat here. Now we're not tipped. We're straight up and down, which just changes the musculature. Can you feel all 10 toes pressing down into the floor? Can we squeeze the heels in, opening those thighs out, staying nice and tall? Stay here where you are. Take a breath in through the nose, into the backs and sides of the ribs. Exhale it out, pelvic floor draws up, rib cage draws down, and we're thinking wide across the belly, wide across the hips. Now, this is a great place as you inhale to think about that pelvic floor dropping down and opening. Yeah, we don't want to keep squeezing through our pelvic floors. We want there to be a space of opening, a space of releasing. That's what you can find here. And I'm talking tens because we're totally holding our legs here, feeling nice and fabulous. Those arms are going to come in beside you. Palms are facing up. We're going to reach the arms forward. We're going to pull the arms in. We're going to reach the arms forward. We're going to pull the arms in. Now, if you have hand weights at home, you're always welcome to grab them for our classes together. Yeah, I teach as if we didn't have props because it just sort of allows everything to be more accessible. But if you have them, you're always welcome to throw them in. Reaching it forward and squeeze. Now, as the arms are moving here, we're in for sort of a fun bit of a series here. So take breaks. You can always stretch the legs up if you need a bit of a break. And then when you're ready, come back down. Feeling the whole foot pressing into the floor, hugging those heels in towards each other, opening those thighs out. Arms go forward, arms squeeze in. Arms go forward, arms squeeze in. For 10, for 9. And we're trying to move from that shoulder blade behind us. For 7, for 6. Can you get a bit lower in your legs? 5, feeling nice and strong. 4, or maybe not. 3, maybe just feeling spicy. For 2, we're going to hold those arms out. Lift your legs up just an inch, just a tiny little bit, and then lower them down nice and controlled. Lift them up an inch, lower down nice and controlled. Squeezing through those arms if you can. Maybe you have fists here. Maybe it feels better to bring your hands to your hips. Maybe your shoulders feel not super fabulous and you lower them below shoulder height. All of these are fine. Non-negotiable. Your full foot is pressing into the floor. Your heels are hugging in. Your thighs are rotating out. And we're breathing. Up an inch, down an inch. We're going for 4. We're going for 3. Nice and controlled here, team. 2. One more time. We're going to stay low. We're going to hold it nice and low here. Those arms are going to open out. They're going to squeeze in. They're going to open out. They're going to squeeze in. So as you're moving through your arms here, it's not like a opening, like super open place. My gaze is forward the whole entire time. And I can see my arms even when they're opening at their widest. Yeah, so if they pass your periphery, keep going. That's too far. Whew. Opening out, closing it in. Opening out, closing it in. You got it here, team. We are so in this together. I'm taking breaks as I need to because it's supposed to be fiery. Yes, let's go for 4. Let's go for 3. Let's go for 2. Last one, we're going to hold those arms out in space. Lift your hips up an inch, just an inch, lower down. Just up a little inch, lower down. The arms are still out, an inch, lower down. Up an inch, lower down. Are your legs shaking? Mine are vibrating. Whew. Up an inch, lower down. Let's go for 3. Keep hugging those heels in. Let's go for 2. Stay nice and tall through your spine. Last one, you're going to lower down. You're going to pause here. Your right arm is going to rotate internally so that whole shoulder rotates in and then out. And then left shoulder in and then out. I always feel, and I'm sure I say this every time, like Sandy at the end of Grease when she's got like the leather pants and the black shirt on and she's like all in the shoulders. I so feel like that here. In and out. In and out. In and out. Now, if you feel really fabulous with your legs bent, you can hold them there. If you'd like to add a little bounce, you bounce down and center. Bounce and bounce. Bounce and bounce. Bounce. If you know all the words to "You're the One That I Want" from Grease, you're welcome to sing that out loud. Sing that in your head. That's how I feel here. The doom, da, da, doom, da, da, doom, da, 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 da. That's going on. Rotating in and out. Maybe you're pulsing, maybe you're not. Noticing the rotation through the arms. Rotate. 2 more each side, please. In and in. One more time. Internal and internal. Pause at center. You're going to bicep curl those arms for 10. Can you show off your muscles? 9. They're up at shoulder height. 8. Keep the tension the whole time. 7. Sit lower in those legs, please. 6. For 5. Can you get even lower in your legs? For 4. Even lower in your legs. For 3. Keep the tone in the arms here, please. For 2. Hold your bicep curl. Squeeze those muscles. You could kiss them. They're like Popeye. Pulse your hips down. For 10. 9. 8. 7. We're almost done. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Stay low. Pulse your bicep arms up. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. You got it. 4. You got it. 3. 2. 1. Open it out. Nice job. Give yourself a little shaky to shake. Grab some water if you need it. I definitely do. And we're going to make our way down to our mats. What a relief. Bring yourself all the way down, please. We're going to go all the way down onto our bellies. So consciously making an effort to bring in lots of extensor work for our torsos. Again, knowing we're working from home and all those kinds of things. Plus, it's just generally good for our health if you're out biking and whatnot. Like, we want to make sure we're working the back of the posture. And these are my favorite ways to do so. So hands are going to come down, palms facing the floor. Fingertips can interlace. We're going to keep our legs parallel today with your toenails pressing down into the floor. Quads are zipping up nice and strong, and I know you know where they are because we just worked them a whole ton. And can we start to find a nice calm, like Pilates breath? Glutes are on here, belly is drawn in. We're gonna bring our heads down to our mats. Now I'm gonna keep my mouth up just a little bit so you can hear me, so I'm not too muffled, but your forehead is touching through your fingertips. Now, as you're down here, noticing those little nuances, right? We want to make sure we're not bearing into our hip bones, that we're scooping our low belly towards our pubic bone, that we're not pushing our ribs into the floor and winding ourselves, that we're actually drawing them in. So we give our bodies a fair chance to find those extensors. Reaching long through the crown of your head, you're going to take an inhale and guide the shoulder blades on your back. Give your fingers a little tug and just make sure you can stay wide. Now, I don't want you to shove them down. I want you to hug them in, that retraction that we were practicing before. Keeping your fingertips attached to your forehead, can you start to breathe out and lengthen yourself out and up into a little baby hover? Maybe your hands come with you, or maybe you really want to keep your arms on the floor because that feels better for your neck. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, lower everything back down. Bring your shoulder blades onto your back, press your toes into the floor, quads, glutes active, belly active. As you breathe out, you're bringing yourself out and up. You're shooting long like an arrow in the sky. Take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, lower down. A few more here like this. Now, you can always keep your hands on the floor and still work on that really, really nice extension here if your shoulders and your neck don't feel super, super fabulous. If bringing your arms up like this doesn't feel good, you're also welcome to bring your hands beside you, yeah? So just finding a space that allows you to start to find that travel in between your shoulder blades down the length of your back of your torso. Well, it's kind of hard, to be honest, to like very quickly name all of your erector spinae muscles because there's so many. But we're working through the back of the body, but not the low back pressing into the floor. Yeah, we're thinking about targeting all the muscles around your shoulder blade, around where your heart rate monitor would sit. Yeah, like all those upper body extensor muscles. One more time, as you lengthen out and up, you're going to pause here. Now, maybe again, your arms stay down. Maybe you're really happy to have your fingertips at your forehead. Can you stay nice and long here? Take a breath in. I'm going to move my hands down so you can hear me. Take a breath out. Keep pressing the toenails into the floor, zipping up through the thighs, scooping through that pelvis towards pubic bone. Glutes are on. Belly is active. We're long from head to tail. Now, from your hover, whether your fingers are up or down, can you reach your right arm out like you're doing the YMCA and then pull that arm back in? And then your left arm reaches out like you're doing the YMCA and then pull it in. And as you're doing this, you might notice that it's more important for you to maybe lower down in space, to be in a little bit of a lower hover in order to stay out of gripping in your low backs. Yeah. What we're really trying to accomplish here is that stability, that support, that strength through the upper back here, not up through the tops of our shoulders. Can we keep thinking that we're trying to stay wide and open through the tops of the shoulders here? And like we're showcasing our armpits to the floor. Left arm maybe now reaches. One more to each side. Right arm reaches out, pulling it in. Left arm reaches out, pull it in. Take an inhale to be nice and long, and then exhale, lower down. You're welcome to turn one cheek to the mat. If you'd like to push up and back and take more of a shell stretch, you're super, super welcome to here. Nice breaths in and breaths out. And then when you're ready, gently making your way back down onto your belly. Bringing hands to the floor again. Toenails are pressing down. Now, if you're feeling really, really nice and stable, like that was no problema for your back, you're welcome to squeeze those legs together. It's going to give you a little bit of extra challenge for your low back support. If you felt like you didn't love this at all and want more, you're going to take your legs mat distance apart and turn them out. Yes? So options here for you. Hands are facing down to the floor. Fingertips are interlaced. Maybe your head connects to those fingers. Shoulder blades on your back, drawing the low belly, the ribs in. Legs are active. Yeah, so turning on all of our little ching, ching, ching home base things. Inhaling, shoulder blades roll towards each other on your backs. And as we breathe out, we're lengthening out and up. Now, just your right hand is going to detach from the shape and come down beside your right hip. Left hand and forearm are more than welcome to find the floor. If that support feels reasonable, you're also welcome to keep them up. We're going to take the right arm, we're going to rotate it so that right shoulder blade comes onto the back, palm is facing down. As you inhale, open the right arm out to a T, and then maybe it continues up towards that YMCA reach. Now keep the palm facing down as you breathe out, and you're trying to squeeze your pinky finger back behind you, but maybe it doesn't actually go that far. It won't. Inhale to open out into the T, reaching up overhead into your V, exhaling to squeeze it in. So we're working external rotation through our arms here, as well as upward rotation on the way up. And then what becomes tricky is you're still externally rotated, but then your arm is coming into downward rotation. So we're sort of challenging where it naturally wants to exist and then where we're moving it in. Tons of work through that mid-back to make sure you're not pushing your ribs down into the floor. And maybe with the left hand and forearm down, you actually feel more work in your mid-back. Maybe that's not true. Maybe you prefer the left fingertips up. Non-negotiable, however, is that those toes are pressing into the floor. That is because we want to make sure we're not always training our backs, that our legs lift as we find extension. We want to isolate those two movements, squeezing it down so that when we do fire them together, it's on purpose. One more time. Arm reaches down and then pause. Now your right palm is facing down. Can we turn our right arm into a fist? Palm is still facing down. And if it feels reasonable in your joints, you're going to pull your knuckles back. So you're showing off the heely part, the inside fleshy wrist part of your wrist. Keep the palm facing down. You're going to inhale to bend at your elbow and then exhale, squeeze and reach it out long. Inhale, little bend at the elbow. Exhale to squeeze and reach. Inhale, little bend. Exhale, squeeze and reach. Inhale to bend. Exhale to reach. Inhale, little bend. Do we all feel how this is triceps? Good. Inhale, little bend. Exhale to reach. Maybe your left hand is up. Let's go for 3. So isolated on the one side. Let's go for 2. Exhale to reach. One more time. Reach it back. Now you're really kicking out through the heel of the hand, firing through your tricep, lengthening through your spine, glutes and thighs are on. Pulse the arm up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it down. Whoo. If you feel like you would like to take a victory plank in between, you can take a victory plank. Or if you would like to take a victory rest, you can take a victory rest. If you are victory resting, finding a shape that feels comfortable. If you are victory planking, you're going to plant your forearms, your elbows to the tip of your middle finger to the floor. We're going to lengthen our chest out and up. We're going to tuck through our toes. We're going to take a breath in, and as we breathe out, keep your knees down. You're just going to draw your ribs in and lift your hips up. So you're lifting up into your kneeling plank. Now check in with yourself that we're not dipping through our hip bones. We're collecting through our waist, shining out through our tail, lengthening out through our spine, hugging those elbows down. And then only if all of those things are happening do we lift up through those thighs. We're here for 10, for 9, for 8, for 7. You keep going. For 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Let's meet in a child's pose. Taking a breath in. Taking a breath out. When you're ready, gently bringing yourself up. Now I'm going to turn around so that you can see my arm moving, but you're probably good wherever you are. Coming all the way back down onto your belly, starting with both of your hands down to the floor. Fingertips are interlaced. Legs can be squeezing together parallel, hip distance parallel, or wide and turned out, whatever feels most supportive for your backs, please. Toenails pressed into the floor, quads nice and active, belly nice and active. Trying not to totally settle down into our hip bones into the floor. Taking your breath in, can you bring your shoulder blades, draw the shoulder blades towards each other, but stay wide across the tops of the shoulders if you can. As you breathe out, you're lengthening out and up to find that hover. Now this time your left arm is going to detach itself and bring itself down to your left hip. Maybe your right hand stays down on the floor, right? Forearm and hand, if that feels reasonable. Take your left arm, rotate your left arm onto your shoulder and turn that arm out so that your left palm is facing down to the floor. As we inhale, the left palm stays facing the floor as you open to a T. sweeping up overhead into your YMCA, and then keep the palm facing down as it closes in. Your pinky finger is trying to snuggle into your hips. Inhaling to open it out. Exhaling down. Now, as the arm lifts up, that's the upward rotation, yeah? So you're totally going to find a little bit of elevation through your shoulders. They're supposed to do that. And then as you bring your arm down, you're going to maybe find that you have more space here. What I want to make sure as we're moving is that we're never necessarily feeling like we're tearing something or like we're gripping in anything, right? Because if you try to grip holding your shoulder blade up as your arm hugs down, that's where it gets maybe a little pinchy. So we're trying to allow the bones to glide using the muscles as we move here. Right arm can be up, fingertips to your forehead. Right forearm can be down on the floor. Check in with your home base here. Your toes are pressing down. Your quads are active. Low belly is active so that we can scoop towards our pubic bone. Glutes are on. Ribs are in. Definitely feeling through those posture muscles by now, I hope. 2 more. Reach that left arm out and up. Squeezing it down. 1 more time. Reach it out and up. Squeeze it down and then pause. Keep the left hand towards your hip. Turn the arm into a fist, squeezing through those left triceps. And then you're going to pull your knuckles back if that feels reasonable to show off that fleshy inner part of your wrist. Maybe it doesn't feel reasonable. If that's true, don't do it. Bending at your elbow. And it's like you're trying to hug your elbow into your waist and then reach out through the heel of your hand, push that arm away from you. Inhale to pull it in. Exhale to reach. Inhale to pull it in. Exhale to reach. Inhale to pull it in. Tricep extension, working through the mid-back here. Exhale to lengthen. Let's go for 3. Nice and strong. Let's go for 2. Exhale to reach. 1 more time. We're going to reach it back. We're going to hold. Now fire up through that arm. Find your mid-back support here. Let's pulse the arm up. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lower it down. If you would like to take your victory plank on this side, setting up on your forearms, if you would like to take your victory rest on this side, please feel to do that as well. Elbows to forearms to hands are pressing into the floor. Knees are maybe tucked, maybe your toes are tucked. Pushing the hands into the floor to open up through the upper body. Take your breath in. As you breathe out, we're sliding the rib cage in. The rib cage slides, the hips lift up in one long line, sending energy out through the tailbone. Finding all those little nuances, right? That we're not rounding through the upper body or shooting our body weight back. We're stacking the shoulders ever so slightly. They could be right over the elbows, but I feel like just a little bit back opens up a 90-degree angle for our armpits. And then you're welcome to lift those thighs if you would like to for 10, for 9. If you're taking a victory rest, we will totally be doing more abs together for 5. So you're not missing out. 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Let's all meet back in a shell stretch. Taking a breath in. Taking a breath out. Now, if you are belly down, let's just walk our hands over to the right. If you are back down, take your knees over to the right. Yeah, so maybe being belly down doesn't feel fabulous on your joints. You're always welcome to be on your back. And when you're ready, if you're on your knees, kneeling down, you're going to walk your hands over to the left. If you are on your backs, you're going to draw your knees in and then over to the left side for your left twist. I did goat yoga over the weekend, which is amazing. I super recommend. I did it in Port Hope, but this poor yellow mat is never going to be the same ever again. And every time I come down on my belly, I'm like, oh yeah, it's still not as clean. Still not as clean. Bring yourself to center. Bring yourself all the way up. Let's flip onto our backs, please. So coming to rest on our backs, we're going to start with our nice neutral or home base. So hip bones and pubic bones will be level. And then as we move on in this little series together, you're always welcome. I'll cue us into an imprint if that's appropriate for your bodies. Let's take a second to take a nice big breath in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out through your mouth. Let's do that again. Inhaling in. In your own space, exhaling it out. And then feeling to make sure if you want to place your heels of your hands on your hip bones, fingertips on your pubic bone, that's a nice way to make sure that you're in kind of as neutral as possible. You can also take fingertips to your hip bones, thumbs to your ribs, and make sure that that relationship is equal as well. Taking a breath in here, taking a breath out, you're going to roll up to your toes. And then maybe let's lift that left leg up to a tabletop. And I just want you to notice as you do that, if anything shifts and shimmies through your hips, you want to keep them nice and level. Maybe flexing out through that foot, you're going to, this is where it gets tricky. Inhale to push that leg away from you. Make sure you don't lose your shape of your posture. And then exhale to pull it in. Inhale to reach it out. Exhale to pull it in. So opposite to what we usually do. Inhale it out. Exhaling it in. Now, as you're doing this, can you notice as your leg goes long that your pelvis might want to drop down? If you're finding that with this inhale, exhale breath, it's really hard to stay stable, and it is hard to stay stable. You could always slide your left leg along the floor and then slide it back in. Inhale to slide away. Now, partially what makes this so tricky is that your inhale is when your ribs want to expand naturally, the way anatomy works in your body. But we're asking them to stay a little more connected. So you're trying to keep your abs engaged as you're inhaling, which we can't just hold onto the external surface of our muscles because then you can't really breathe. So we have to find a negotiation of tension here, deep, deep, deep in the low abs to work it out. Now, if this is going really, really well for you with the stability, you're welcome to bring your right leg up. Push your left leg away as you inhale, and then exhale to pull it in. We're going for 4 here. Exhaling it in. We're going for 3. We're going for 2. Try not to puff up into your belly and rib cage as you reach that leg away. One more time. Inhale away. Exhale to pull it in. Now, if you're happy here, so I have my right toes in a tabletop pointed, my left foot in a tabletop flexed. You can also put right toes down. You could also put left toes down. Yeah, so knowing that you have options here. But my hope is that we're as neutral as possible without overextending or finding flexion. Okay, hands come behind your head. Elbows are going to lift up. Give your head a little shakety shake in your hands to release any extra tension, soften through those collarbones. Keeping your legs wherever works for you, taking your breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to curl up. Inhale to lengthen back. Exhale to curl. So just like when we were reaching our leg, on our inhale, our torso wants to expand. So that kind of works in our favor here, yeah? Because our rib cage is going to want to open. However, I encourage you as you inhale to not super flare so that you lose contact with the mat. We want to keep contact with those back ribs on the mat at all times. And in fact, it should increase as you curl here. We're going for 4. We're going for 3. Those legs are just hanging out. We're going for 2, keeping your hips as parallel as possible. One more time, curl it up. Now from your curl, keep your legs wherever you need them to be. Inhale, go back a little bit. You're going to go up and over to the right, reaching and just pause in your right oblique twist. Your left hand is reaching to the outside of the right knee and you're curling up and into that. Inhale back, exhale. If you like the arm, if it helps to give you that experience of that twist, please feel free to keep it. If you don't feel like you need it, you don't necessarily need it. If you kind of want to reach both of your arms in this little pulse, you totally can. We're going for 4. Trying not to sit on that back right shoulder blade. We're going for 2. One more time. We're going to hold it here. We're just going to hold for 10, 9, 8. Maybe you reach the arm. 7. Maybe you reach one arm. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it all in. We're not totally done with that side. We're going to keep going on that one side. And maybe give yourself a little rock and roll. And then we're going to plant the feet on the floor. So if being in a nice neutral like that felt reasonable, stay neutral. If you would like to explore an imprint, if we were to take our fingertips to our hip bones and our thumbs to our rib cage, starting with that little ladybug house at our low back, which keeps our hip bones and pubic bone level, you're going to take a breath in now without using your glutes, but keeping your bum down. As you breathe out, we're going to scoop our low bellies. So it's like we're closing the distance between our hip bones and our rib cage as our low back scoops to the floor. 2 more. Inhale to release. Now you're not using your glutes. As you breathe out, we're scooping. Rib cage draws down, and we're trying to flatten here, not in a fashion way, in an anatomy way. Yeah, I don't want us to bubble up and give ourselves hernias. Exhaling it down. So, little points here. We're scooping. Now your low back might not actually touch the floor. I have a really extended low back. It's taken a long time to have an imprint that you can see. We're scooping. We're widening as we move here, and we're engaged. Okay, we're going to take a breath in. As we breathe out, let's roll up to both of those toes again. We're going to keep our right toes down. We're going to lift our left leg up. Maybe you're imprinted, maybe you're not. Maybe flex through that foot. Hands are going to come behind your head. Now remember, your goal here is to still be scooped if you're scooping. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to curl your upper body up. So we're in like a really scoopy, like a banana or like a pirate ship, like scooped in. We all know that ride, right? That pirate ship ride, kind of like that. Now, as you inhale, your leg is going to reach as your torso goes back, but you're still scooped. And then as you exhale, you're pulling everything in and you're scooping more. Inhale as you reach away. Do not let any of those low back surfaces lose the floor. Exhale to curl it in. Inhale to take it back. Exhale to curl. Now remember all those nuances of your pelvis not being allowed to move. Your hip bones have to stay level here 100%. As we curl, we're trying to continually scoop through the low belly, through the rib cage. Now, it might feel reasonable that you can keep all of these things with your right leg lifted. That's not reasonable for my body because I have to work so hard to scoop. So I'm going to keep my right toes down, but you can bring your right leg up to a tabletop if you would like. If you're feeling extra super duper exciting with this, inhale it out, exhale to curl. Can you use more breath here? We're going to go for 2. Exhale to curl in. One more time. You're going to curl in. You're going to pause. We're going to inhale, go back. Take your oblique twist to the left this time. Inhale to reach it out and back. Exhale, you're scooping or twisting in. We're going for 4. Can you just keep pulling your left leg in? 3. You're super duper scooping. We're going for 2. One more time, you're curling up and over to the left, and then pause it here. Maybe you have arms. 10, 9, check in with your hips. 8, you're scooping. 7, you're reaching. 6, 5, you're off of that back left shoulder blade. 3, 2, 1. Bring it down and end. Nice job. Woo-wee. Give your legs a little rock. Maybe give your tummy a little rub because we're totally doing that all over again. Finding a nice neutral pelvis here. Hip bones and pubic bone are level. Taking a second to come into your body. Now we're staying parallel for this first bit. Toes are going to roll up so that your heels are hovered. And then we're going to lift that right leg to a tabletop. We're going to flex out through that foot. Now maybe your hands come to your hips, fingertips on your hip bones, thumbs on your rib cage. As we inhale, that right leg reaches away from us. As we exhale, we pull it in. Now we're starting nice and neutral here. And so remembering that as the leg goes long, our pelvis might also want to go the other way. Yeah, it might want to like really remove itself from the floor. So we still have to keep that low ab connection, which is what makes this a little bit trickier. Inhale to reach it away. Exhale to pull it in. Noticing if your hips are wobbling side to side, we want to keep everything nice and still here. We're going for 3. That's why I like the fingertips and the thumbs relationship, because you can kind of feel if your pelvis shifts. For 2. Last one, like this. If it feels reasonable, maybe you can stay neutral and that left leg reaches up to a tabletop. Let's go again with that leg for 4. Pulling it in. Maybe it doesn't feel reasonable at all and that leg is actually preferring to slide along the floor, yeah? Let's go for 2. Pull it in. One more time. Reach it long. pull it in, and then pause. Now you can point your feet, flex your feet, whatever feels good. You could also have your toes on the floor. That's fine with me, or maybe just one. Hands are going to come behind the head. We're staying neutral here. Take a breath in to be lengthened back, head heavy in hands. As you breathe out, you're curling up into your neutral pelvis shape. Inhale to lengthen it back. Exhale to curl it up. So little bits of housekeeping still exist here, right? We want to try to make sure that the pelvis isn't moving. It's such a small detail, but that's what's showing that your deep transversus abdominis is working. That's our stabilizer, right? So if nothing's moving down here, chances are it's turned on, right? I mean, there's sort of things that can happen where that's not the case, but in general, that's the case. If our pelvis is moving as we're curling, it means we're not firing as deep as we possibly could be into those low abs. We want to think pelvic floor up, rib cage down. And again, we're thinking wide as we move here, so we're not bubbling up, wide in an anatomy way, right? Like not a flat fashion way. We're going for 2. One more time, curling it up and then pausing here. Inhale to go back a little bit, maybe exhale, curl up and over to the left. Now, if you want to, you can take that right arm and really reach it up and over, keep the hips level. Inhale to go back a little, and then exhale to curl. Maybe you have one hand reaching. Maybe you have 2 hands reaching. Maybe you have hands behind your head, yeah? Back and reach. We're going for 3. This leg could also be in a table if you'd like. For 2. Still neutral if you can. Last 1. Curl it up, hold it here with arms, with no arms. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Level hips. For 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Bring it down and in. Maybe give yourself a little windshield wiper. I'm hoping it's clear that we're all feeling abs here, yeah? Okay. Feet planted on the floor, hips are nice and level to start. This is where we start to find that imprint, if that works for you. For your imprint, if your hands were heels of your hands, hip bones, fingertips, pubic bone, as you breathe out, we're scooping through that low belly. And if there was a marble on your fingertips, that pelvis would scoop. So your marble would go all the way down into your belly button. Yeah, we've created like a little rolling slope here. Or you can do hip bones and rib cage. Okay, take your breath in. As you breathe out, let's roll up to both of our toes so the heels hover. And then keeping that imprint, if you're imprinting, lifting that right leg up to a tabletop. Maybe your left leg lifts as well. I'm going to keep my left leg down because I just know that that's what my body needs to imprint properly. And then hands come behind your head. Take your breath in. As you breathe out, we're curling up. So as we inhale, the right leg reaches away as the torso leans back, and then we exhale, pull it all into center. Inhale to reach away, which requires so much deep ab work here. Exhale to curl it in. So as we're lengthening, we're not allowing our torso to extend and collapse. We're keeping it actively scooped. Noticing any sort of movement through your pelvis here. Can we keep the integrity of that low pelvis? Reaching out and away. Now that left leg could be lifted. I just know I can't control my pelvis and talk if I do that. Reach it out. Now tone up through that reaching leg. If you want to add spice to this, with every single exhale, you're thinking about working just a little bit more here. Let's go for 2. Exhale to curl. One more time here. Exhale to curl it up. Take a breath in to go back just a little bit. Exhale, curl up and over to the right this time. Inhale back through center. Don't let your hips move. Exhale up and over to the right. Maybe you have one hand reaching here. Maybe you have 2 arms reaching here. Maybe you have hands behind your head. Let's go for 3, but you are scooping with all your might. Let's go for 2, trying not to rest on those back shoulder blades. One more time, curl it up. You're holding wherever you are. 10, 9, 8, increase your tension. 6, increase your reaching. For 4, increase your scoop. For 2, for 1, bring it in. Give yourself a little rock and roll across the back. Whew. Let's plant those feet on the floor. Parallel hip distance apart if you can. Maybe the arms reach up, maybe the elbows are down, maybe the arms are flat. Starting with a bit of a treat, then it'll turn into a trick, and then we're done. So keeping the pelvis nice and parallel to start, you're going to inhale. As you breathe out, let's scoop through the pelvis, push your feet through the floor as you lengthen and lift yourself out and up. At the top, taking a breath in, and then as you breathe out, scooping into that rib cage to draw yourself down, 1 vertebrae at a time. placing your spine back on the floor, taking your breath in, breathe it out, scooping through the core. Then your glutes as you lift yourself up and forward. Hugging the heels to bum, knees radiate forward here. Maybe your arms are up. And then as you roll down, can you really truly see if you can feel each vertebrae making contact with the floor as we lower it down? 2 more. As we breathe out, scooping, pushing the floor away, firing through the glutes, lengthening out and forward. Keeping integrity through the back of the legs here, rolling yourself down. Last one, inhale. As we breathe out, scooping, we're pushing the feet through the floor as we lift our hips up. Now we're going to change it up. You're going to hinge at your hips, stick your bum out. Just as your glutes maybe find the floor, you're going to lift up. Hinge at the hips to lower, scoop and push and lift. Slower down, scoop and push and lift. And as you're doing this, making sure that we don't want to feel lots and lots of pain or cramping or anything like that in the low back. So can we really make sure you're sticking your bum out and play with your height? If working at a full height up here doesn't feel great, don't do it. Keep it a little bit lower. Now I'm going to ask you, if everything's feeling good and well in the back of the legs, to pick it up. Down and then up and then down and then up and then down and then up. So you're never pausing. If I was taking pictures, I would never be able to capture you at the top or at the bottom because that's how fast you're moving here. Down and then up and then down and then up. For 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it at the top. Take a breath in. Hold it at the top. Take a breath out. Hug your feet to the floor. Hug your heels to your glutes. Reach your knees forward. Belly is in. Little hip pulses up. 10, 9. It's tiny. 8. Release and squeeze. 7. Release and squeeze. 6. Hug those arms. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hold it at the top. All the tension you have in your body. Squeeze it. Squeeze it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll yourself to the floor. Nice job. Big breath in here. Big breath out. We're going to take that right leg, reach that right leg up towards the ceiling. Give it a little shakety shake, maybe a rub of the hamstrings. That right thigh is going to squeeze and cross all the way over the left. So they're hugged nice and tight. You don't have to wrap your bottom ankle, just the top thighs. And then take this shape to gently make its way over to the left. Please, right arm can reach up overhead. Trying to keep that right shoulder down if possible. Taking your breath in. Taking your breath out. Taking your breath in. Taking your breath out. Maybe your gaze turns to the right as you're here. Just a little bit of a break. When you're ready, gently bringing this shape back to center. Unravel your legs. Give them a little shakety shake. Feet plant on the floor. Left leg reaches up towards the ceiling. Maybe give it a little shake, a little rub of those hamstrings. And then cross the left thigh over. Really squeeze it into the right as you tip this shape over to the right. Left arm can reach out overhead or up overhead. Wait, that didn't make sense. Left arm can reach out to the side. Left arm can reach up overhead. So we started class today, or practice today, with some standing work for your quads, for your inner thighs, because you were hugging the legs in, as well as for your shoulder mobility here. Then we found some more standing work where we worked a little bit more through rotation of our shoulders and strengthening through our arms, as well as, again, inner thighs and quads. We came onto our bellies, worked through our mid-back extensors, our posture muscles, plus some tricep here, as well as, again, some mobility through the shoulders. It's a theme these days. Bringing ourselves onto our backs to work through the abs. We did some planking as well, so you worked all layers of your abdomen. And then finishing off just at the end there with a little bit more hamstring, a little bit more glute for you. Bringing your body back to center as you inhale, collect everything in, give yourself a tight, tight squeeze, and then exhale, melt to the floor. Knowing that you worked your full body today and you worked so hard. And you did that. That was all you. Inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Reach those legs nice and straight and strong. Exhale, bring your arms down. Give yourself a squeeze. Thank you, as always, for having me in. I really, truly love being able to connect with you in this way. And can you believe it? It's been like a half a year of Pilates. Look at us go. I hope you have a great, great rest of your day.
Bye, Dom. Thank you.